Hey everyone! Today we're talking about a major event in Scotland's past, the Scottish Reformation. This wasn't just about changing religion, it also changed how the government and church worked together in a big way. Back then, Scotland followed the Catholic Church and listened to the Pope in Rome. But in 1560, the Scottish Parliament decided to break away from the Pope. They banned the Catholic Mass and started following a new set of religious rules called the Scots Confession of Faith. These new ideas were based on Calvinism, a different form of Christianity. Later on, in 1647, another set of rules called the Westminster Confession of Faith became the main guide for the new Scottish Church, which was now called the Kirk. These documents were very important, just under the Bible in importance. A man named John Knox was one of the biggest leaders of this change. He worked with others like John Douglas, John Rowe, John Spottiswoode, John Willock, and John Winram. They helped write the Scots Confession. Later, a man named Andrew Melville became important too. He helped write the Second Book of Discipline, another guide for how the new church should be run. The Kirk had two main plans written down: the First Book of Discipline in 1560, and the second in 1578. They also had a book for worship services called the Book of Common Order, which John Knox had written earlier in Geneva in 1556. Even before all this, the Catholic religion was a big part of life in Scotland. People loved going to church, and monasteries were popular. But things in politics made a big difference. Many Scottish kings and queens became rulers when they were very young, so powerful nobles made a lot of the big choices. These nobles didn't always agree. Some wanted to be friends with France, others with England. These disagreements also affected how the Reformation happened. Take King James V, for example. His grandfather was Henry VII of England, but his dad died in battle against the English in 1513. James liked France and even married a French princess. But as Reformation ideas spread across Europe, more people in Scotland started liking England's new religious ways. Even though many people still followed Catholic traditions like the Eucharist, they were upset about how the church was run and how rich it had become. Reformers used these feelings to help push for change. In England, King Henry VIII started his own Reformation and tried to get James V to do the same in Scotland. James didn't want to at first, but used the idea of change to get favors from the Pope. Then he went to war with England to support France, but things went badly at the Battle of Solway Moss in 1542. Some of his own nobles gave up, and James died just a month later. After that, many Scottish reformers who had been forced to leave found safety in England, which had become Protestant. One of them was John Knox. He had been punished and made to work as a slave on a ship because of his connection to the killing of a Catholic archbishop. But he wasn't the only one. Many reformers came back later and helped change religion in Scotland for good. And things got even more intense after King James V died. His baby daughter, Mary, became queen. But since she was too young to rule, powerful nobles started fighting over who would be in charge. Some nobles wanted Scotland to stick with France, while others thought England was a better ally. In 1543, the group supporting England made a deal to marry young Mary to Prince Edward, the son of England's King Henry VIII. But later that same year, her guardian James Hamilton changed his mind and cancelled the plan. That made England angry, so they sent soldiers to attack parts of southern Scotland. In 1547, Scotland asked France for help, and promised that Mary would marry the French prince, who later became King Francis II. But after a while, many Scots didn't like how much influence France was trying to have. Meanwhile, England was sending Protestant books and preachers into Scotland to spread their religion. When Elizabeth I became Queen of England in 1558, she decided to support the Scottish Protestants too. One of the main leaders of the Reformation, John Knox, came back to Scotland in 1556. He had been leading a church in Geneva for Scottish people who had escaped. In 1559, Knox gave a powerful sermon that sparked a rebellion. England sent troops to help, and by 1560, both the English and French troops left Scotland. That same year, the Scottish Parliament, although not everyone who voted was supposed to be there, officially ended its connection to the Catholic Church. Even though Mary was still queen, she was Catholic and couldn't lead the new Protestant church. So a new group called the General Assembly was set up to guide the Kirk. It acted like a religious council. Mary made some poor choices in her marriages, and in 1567, she was forced to step down. After that, Protestant leaders ruled Scotland until her son, James VI, was old enough to take over. The new Scottish Church was unique in how it was organized. Instead of being led by bishops or the king, local churches had more power. This system was explained in the first book of Discipline. It focused on preaching and only kept two practices: baptism and communion. Old Catholic traditions like celebrating Mass, praying for the dead, and honoring saints were stopped. Money that used to go to the Catholic Church was now supposed to pay ministers, support schools, and help poor people. Each church chose its own leaders, called elders and deacons, to help ministers and keep order in the church. The General Assembly agreed with most of the first book of Discipline, but they didn't completely take the money away from the old Catholic leaders. Also, the book didn't say anything about having bishops. In 1572, the king tried to bring back bishops, but most people didn't like that idea. By 1576, it was dropped. Later, the second book of Discipline came out. It was even clearer. Kings and bishops shouldn't run the church. Local churches and bigger groups called synods, and the General Assembly, should make big decisions like teaching, choosing ministers, and solving problems. They didn't use the word presbytery much yet, but they were already working in that way. Even though Scotland's Parliament never officially accepted the second book of Discipline, it shaped how the church was run. King James VI kept trying to take back control using bishops, and the battle over who should lead the church, regular church members or the king, kept causing problems in Scotland, and also with England for many years.